want to suffer society. Let me explain. We live in a point in time where a lot of people want to emulate or replicate what they see either in the real world or in media or any form of observational source, right? So, what does that mean? Well, let's get the basis started. Society. We've grown up to want to struggle because in our mind, humans think that accomplishing struggles or overcoming bounds and leaps of fate will prove to you more capable to be alive, I guess, or more fit to be part of the stronger elite or a part of a class that's more wise in the sense of experience. But I think what people don't understand is you only gain wisdom and experience from trials and tribulations that you would organically meet. Because if you throw yourself into a situation, then you got to get yourself out of it. And yes, that takes time to get yourself out of a situation, and you may even learn from that experience. But if you threw yourself in that situation to begin with, and you understood the consequences, and you understood that most likely that you would not be able to get out of it, then was it wise for you to jump into the situation in the first hand? Now, if you're part of a situation you were forced into, then doesn't apply to you because you are overcoming the situation that someone may have forced onto you. For example, gang life. Whether in LA, whether in New York, Arizona, Utah, Nevada, Texas, wherever, Mexico, other countries, these are situations that people were forced into because, well, when you were part of a gang, you're most likely to be jumped in, if not born into it, right? So, that being said, if someone forces a situation like that upon you, then you are no longer applied in the I want to suffer society because you are a part of the suffering. You are a part of something that you must find within yourself to survive and adapt and overcome, because this is something that'll probably follow you for the rest of your life, right? Unless you're some part of a program and decide to straighten your life. But in regards to that, things like that happen, but it's hard for someone from that life to accept that because they've been so used to a brotherhood, a camaraderie, a sign of respect. It's almost like telling a king to leave the throne because he's not deemed acceptable by society, right? But then he didn't do anything wrong because he has all these situations that someone else may have thrown onto him from previous legacies that he's trying to fix. It's like that. But that being said, I want your suffer society. Let's get back to that. Let's get back to the main point. People, kids, I'm going to call them kids because you can be a grown-ass adult and still be a kid, you know, because you ain't thinking. You ain't thinking like an adult. You're thinking like a kid, you know. They replicate these things because they feel that if they put themselves through the same situation, then they'll feel the same accomplishment as that other person, and they can get through any other thing in life, right? I see this all the time. Over here, I've moved a lot. Ever since I was a kid, I lived in Arizona, Georgia, Utah, Nevada, Texas, Mexico, you name it. I've moved all over the country because I got family everywhere, and my financial status is bad. So I've had to move, you know. And I've lived in ghetto areas. I've lived in super white areas. I've lived in between, and I've lived in a lot of Mexican areas too, because I'm Hispanic, right? But that's just the ghetto. But and the thing I see, and the pattern that I see everywhere, is everybody wants these trials and tribulations to be forced upon them, and everybody acts like they happened organically. If you say that you're selling drugs, what is your motive, right? What's behind your actions? Are you doing it because you have to? Or are you doing it because you want to? That's very important. That's key, because that's a fine line if you decide to because you want to. You don't have to, but you want to. Then you're no longer wise. You're a kid, because you're putting yourself through a situation you didn't have to put yourself through, right? If you had to, then you have no other choice but to survive. And people don't get that. Nowadays, people play with their lives like it's a game. People don't understand that life is the most valuable and worthy thing that you could own in this lifetime. Life itself. Because without life is non-existence. Without life, you die, you're in the ground, you're absorbed, and you're no longer conscious, you're no longer thinking, you just are. Right? Which is a beautiful thing, the concept of death and becoming back to nature, or coming back to nature and everything just absorbing, and you're part of the energy, and you're moving along the same frequency as everything else in the universe is a beautiful concept. But life itself is something so rare, and we're so lucky to have. People do not see it that way. What they want to do is they want to accomplish the worst things as fast as they can, as fast as possible. You know, you shouldn't have escalated the situation. That's another statement. If you're ever in a situation where you don't find the line between whether you need or you want, then ask yourself, why are you escalating the situation? Right? When you escalate a situation, you know it's going to become worse. You know that if you went out there again, it's going to become worse. If you went out there again, then people are going to get mad at you. Do you have to do that? No. And here's another argument. Well, it's my life. Of course it's your life. Do what the fuck you want. No one's your boss. No one's your fucking CEO of life. Right? But there's a cause and effect to everything. There's a butterfly effect. You do one thing here, eventually over here, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's just going to cause a storm. Right? So whatever you did over here, you should at least think about where it could be once it reaches this destination. Right? People don't think about that, because all they think about is the moment. The moment. The moment. The moment. So let's go back to want or need. You want something, you got to think in the moment. You want it now. Let's get it now. Right? If you need something, you're really going to take a lot of time and meticulous efforts to make sure you get that. Right? So a banker needs a statement. Right? Okay. He's going to call up whoever his boss is. Hey, I need a statement. Talk normally, because he knows if, let's say, he's backed up on work and he needs that statement and he just comes in and he starts yelling, no one's going to bring him shit because he's being rude. No one wants to help a rude person, right? Now, let's come back at it with the want. he calls back to his CEO or his boss, whatever, and he goes, hey, I want that statement. And I want it now. Okay, that's funny. It's a joke, right? No, I want that fucking statement. I'm sorry? Do you need the statement right now? No, I just want it. Well, I'm a little busy right now, so I'll get back to you, and I'll send it as soon as possible. 2 hours later, there's no statement yet. So that's the fine line between want and need. And that's the fine line that people have to see. Is, did you want it or did you need it? If you wanted it, you're not gonna get it. If you need it, then you're gonna take the time to get it. Which brings up the point of the suffer society. People want to suffer nowadays. People want to see themselves as a struggler, as a fighter, as a warrior. When they don't see is if they've never been thrown in a situation where they had to, then maybe you're not the warrior type. Maybe you're the thinking type. I don't know. Maybe you're the perceiving type. Maybe you're the type to let others know. And maybe that shit's wrong. Instead of throwing yourself into a situation you never had to. And this is going out to everybody I know. This is going out to everybody I don't know. Take it as a grain of salt. These are just thoughts of mine. I'm not telling you how to live your life. I'm not telling you whether I'm right or wrong. These are just thoughts. Take them as you want.